So we'll start this one formally. Thanks for your time, Ryan. We are running on a short time frame here. There were some technical problems I have. I'm actually at the University of Michigan Hospital at the moment working on a computer, a small laptop, so I don't have full functionality. I thought we'd at least bring everybody up to date on a number of things. One is that we're going to be meeting at the Hilton Head on January, first part of January. I believe that if you look on here, here's our website, folks. If I go to if you go to our website and you look at what we're proposing, and I'm going to go down here, we know, of course, that we started the EHA committee, and there are a combination. I put out 83 proposals. This will be our new platform for these meetings every other week going forward, starting in 2015. And Ryan, I'm going to cut to the chase so that I can answer one of your questions about what kind of things that are important to our colleagues around the country. And we have kept a list of ideas here, and over the past 2 years it started out originally as a research agenda, but this particular table, and I believe we have 40 different ideas here that are in different stages of formulation. These are presumably concepts for exploration papers, posters, and panel discussions. Some of these ideas are fairly understandable. This one here is one I've been working on for some years with John Ogle and David Shipp, but we'd like to put our shoulder more into impedance grounding for medium voltage campus power systems. How would you migrate from solidly grounded to impedance grounded if you're going to do that at all? This here is, so what we're trying to do is keep a list of all the ideas that we would like to explore with this particular committee. Now, this is a list that's principally for preparing package presentations for the technical conferences. But Ryan, I think you had a good point when we were talking offline about, before the cameras are rolling, so to say, that this committee, the EHE committee, is likely to be more effective if we dwell more on the practical day-to-day problems that you and other organizations have. Up till now, this has been focused principally on what I call code writing and vote getting, trying to match up concepts with data, putting them in front of a committee, arguing pro and con, trying to persuade other people that you're right, and then that this should become part of the standard. That could be 70, 70E, 70B. But I think you raise a fair point, and I'm going to let you talk a bit about it yourself, about if this committee is going to grow beyond just code writing and vote getting. Maybe you want to talk a little bit, repeat what you had said to me about some of the particular problems you run into, and if this time is going to be time well spent, what would time well spent look like to you?
Well, I think from the code side, there's pros to that, but at the same time, when you look at what people are dealing with day to day, you have obstacles that come to them, like we had the bell tower, and Dan Burmer has been living with bell towers for some time, and so he gave me a list of potholes that, if you will, to not go into, and so that saved me a lot of time, and it's going to save me time in the future. And I think a lot of people just really want to cross-pollinate some of those issues they run into every day, and I think U of M has that 90-minute meeting a month where you guys discuss different points of view on topics of concern, and that it's well attended. And I think that would probably be the same thing here. You'd see people show up because they have issues they don't have answers to, and they need help. And then at the same time, I think the code can come out of that. I don't think that's a dead issue. I think they're interrelated.
Is the trade magazines, one thing I try not to do is to move into crowded spaces. These are pretty good, mature. I've published several times in these publications. Aren't they sufficient, or is it just you want to go to an organization that's roughly similar to roughly similar to yours, at least in the state of Michigan. That's the deal with state of Michigan issues. Is that, do you feel more comfortable? Well, actually, you'll feel comfortable with anybody who gets you the right answer and solves your problems, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, absolutely. As long as the answer's right, yeah, I'll feel comfortable.
Here you have.
I think the EC&M is a good resource, and I Google that. But I think at the same time, you like to have another human on the other end of the phone and say, hey, what did you do with this, and what did you do with that? I think there's still some nuts and bolts that aren't really covered in the articles, and I know they try to go into it in some of the cases in great detail. But I think a lot of times just a conversation with somebody that's already experienced it is just enough to bring you home.
Yeah.
And to be successful.
There's another publication that's similar to EC&M, although they're more on the engineering side. I mean, you raise a point that we'll have to talk about offline, is that I'm not intending to duplicate any of the good work that these organizations have done. If anything, if there's a way to collaborate and not duplicate and try to fill gaps, that might be worthwhile. So I think you've made an important suggestion here, frankly, to think about it. At the moment, though, we do have the NEC is hard upon us, and we're going to be migrating away from this site. If you go to the, unfortunately, I don't know if I'm able to show all 5,000 of the proposals that were posted on the NFPA website. It turns out that it's harder to get that. But before we close this, I thought I'd give our audience, our colleagues here, a look at what it looks like, what the timetable looks like for the NEC, and then nearly as important is some of the related documents, and then we can close this call. So here we are at NFPA 70, and you're seeing this is the deadline we met, and we'll be meeting in Hilton Head most of January, and I'll be there one full week, basically. I may well be posting some updates here if people so want me to, but it's easy enough just to give me a phone call. So this is this might be a place where people can actually see what the agenda is. All right, without getting into that too much. These are all the specifics we get into. Now, then that will be released. We'll vote on that, and then we have until once it's released in fall, I guess, public comment closing date. So they're going to release this earlier than I thought. People will be able to see. Here we go. So by July, we will be able to see how the committees voted. There's actually ways to see that ahead of time, but that'll be the sort of nominal official date when the committee votes will be made public. Then we'll have until September to be able to respond to that. So of the 84 that I put out, or maybe 90, I'm expecting maybe 8. Conceptually, I've described that'll get accepted. You should also know that somewhere on this website I posted a tabulation of what votes were cast on behalf of APA. Remember, I still hold APA's vote, and then most of the committees. Most of the proposals were put out in the name of the EHE committee, and then I think you did one for Oakland. Is that right? Was yours for Oakland or was yours for APA? Do you remember, Ryan?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's on there. I tabulated it. I don't want to bore people, but I think there's about the philosophy I carried into the informing what proposals. I didn't ask any new information. Anything that I had started with APA endorsement, so to say, from the last cycle, I carried that through. But there's a number of new concepts which will be either specifically the University of Michigan or the IEEE committee. So just to, I do have an obligation to carry through on the stuff we started a cycle or two ago. And then, okay, so that's NFPA 70. We know that we're also in a revision cycle that 70, 70B, and 70E run roughly, they run 1, 2, 3. Yeah, every 3 years. So I believe 70B is in its revision cycle. This is for maintenance. This is going to be important when we try to get a little bit better about protecting, about advancing our reliability interests. And then there's the workplace safety, what I call the OSHA document. So this is this will be updated in 2018. So those 3 standards that are the subject for those 45 proposals that originated from the IEEE EHE committee. And we'll see. We'll see how the IEEE, as I try to say in my statement here, I tried to write it up to explain that it may well be that that NFPA may not want to cede or turn over the responsibility of electrical engineering totally to the IEEE. So it depends on how effective IEEE can be. So that's a jurisdictional issue between trade associations and standards developers we can deal with in the long run. So that's, I think, probably all I have to say for this week. Is there anything you wanted to? Oh, we're going to try to get a time zone set up. I believe we've got, these universities have expressed interest in participating in an international call that would look to see how people close to the action might get more harmonization between the EU, the IEC, and the U.S. standards. So this is actually, we're going to be having our conference there in May near Alberta, but these are people, there's particularly strong relationships with this group here, these people here. The University of Windsor will be across the street when we have our conference at the Marriott in 2016, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But this is set up specifically so that our colleagues in Western Europe can trade war stories with us, so we'll see. Anything else? I don't think we're going to be meeting again any time this year, except for this one here on Thursday. I don't think we meet again until, I guess there's December 30th. Are you going to be working December 30th, Ryan?
No, I'm leaving Friday. That's it for me.
Okay, good.
And I do want to call in between, but you know, I'm not thinking I'm going to make that call.
Nah, that's okay. I'll be here just because it is true that public sector has relatively generous vacation, and I'm mindful of that. To the best I'm able, when I can, I think I do have that day off myself. I would like to help private industry help us, so that's kind of a gesture I like to make when I can make it. So, and then at the very least, then we'll have the January 13th teleconference. I believe I'll be holding that from Hilton Head then. And maybe I'll put the camera on. You can see what all these code geeks look like.
Okay.
Yeah?
That'll be great. Yeah.
Okay, Chief. Well, keep it real. Thank you very much for your time. I'll post this video on our meeting agenda, and I will see you on the Worldwide Intertubes. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You done?
Yep, done.
All right.
Take care, Ryan. Bye-bye.
All right, Mike. Have a good holiday, all right?
I will do that. Thank you.
All right.